The tragedy of the whale ship Essex isn't just about a shipwreck. It's a powerful reminder of the dangers of maritime exploration and the extreme lengths people will go to in order to survive. This harrowing tale, filled with ambition, disaster, and desperate choices, continues to captivate audiences and provoke deep reflection. Let's dive into the story of the Essex, a disaster that reshaped the lives of its crew and left a lasting impact on maritime history. From the sinking of the ship to the moral dilemmas faced in the open ocean, this story is as gripping as it is tragic. In the early 19th century, whaling wasn't just an industry, it was a dangerous high-stakes game. Launched in 1819, the Essex set sail from Nantucket with high hopes of capitalizing on the booming whale oil market. Whale oil was essential for lighting lamps, making soap, and even powering early machines during the Industrial Revolution. Whaling expeditions were expected to bring wealth, but they also came with a terrifying risk. The open sea was an unpredictable force, and nature had no qualms about turning the tables on those who dared to challenge it. The Essex and its crew, led by Captain George Pollard Jr, embarked on what they thought would be a lucrative journey. But what they didn't expect was that the very creature they were hunting would turn against them in the most dramatic of ways. This tragedy isn't just a tale of shipwreck, it's about human survival in the face of the unthinkable, highlighting the perils and unpredictability of the sea. Nantucket, a small island off the coast of Massachusetts, was the epicenter of the whaling industry in the 19th century. The island's economy thrived on whaling, as it supplied whale oil to fuel the world's expanding industries. Nantucket's whaling captains, including the ill-fated Captain Pollard, led these daring voyages, setting sail from the island's shores with a sense of ambition and determination. Pollard, along with his crew, embarked on a perilous journey that would ultimately lead to tragedy. The crew of the Essex, composed of experienced whalers, set sail with high hopes of fortune, but faced unimaginable challenges when disaster struck. Their story encapsulates the spirit of Nantucket's whaling legacy, highlighting both the ambition and the risks associated with this lucrative industry. The island's prominence in whaling not only shaped its identity, but also left an indelible mark on maritime history, illustrating the complex interplay between human endeavor and the unforgiving nature of the sea. Nantucket's role in the whaling industry remains a significant chapter in understanding the economic and cultural dynamics of the 19th century. But the Essex was a stark reminder that no matter how skilled or prepared these whalers were, the dangers of the sea could not be tamed. The whaling industry was a high-risk venture, and the Essex's story reflects the human costs hidden behind the pursuit of wealth. It wasn't just about the oil, it was about the lives of those who ventured out on the open sea, gambling with nature for a shot at prosperity. The Essex set sail on August 12, 1819, full of hope and optimism. The crew was well prepared, the ship was stocked with provisions, and the Pacific Ocean awaited them with its bounty. However, early on, they encountered powerful storms that tested their resilience. These storms weren't just a sign of nature's wrath. They marked the beginning of the crew's doubt and the psychological strain of the journey. As the crew battled these storms, some began to question whether they were truly prepared for what lay ahead. The harsh realities of life at sea began to sink in, and the first sign of discord appeared when one young sailor, Henry DeWitt, abandoned the expedition entirely. DeWitt's departure foreshadowed the psychological and emotional toll the journey would have on the men, as they faced not just the elements, but the isolation and fears that would soon haunt them. During their voyage, the Essex made a stop at the Galapagos Islands, hoping to gather fresh provisions, particularly tortoises. These creatures were easy to catch and could be kept alive for extended periods, providing much-needed food for the crew. However, their unchecked harvesting led to the depletion of the tortoise population, a sign of human greed that would have consequences for both the environment and the crew. The stop at the Galapagos was marked by an accidental fire that ravaged part of the ship, creating further turmoil. What was meant to be a brief respite from the hardships of the sea quickly became a new source of peril. The fire, fueled by dry vegetation and ship supplies, raised alarms about the integrity of the Essex and set the tone for the dark journey ahead. And as the crew grappled with this disaster, superstitions began to take hold, with many believing that the ship was cursed, a belief that would only deepen as their troubles multiplied. On November 20th, 1820, the Essex encountered a fate that no one could have predicted. It was rammed by an angry sperm whale. This wasn't just a whale striking a ship, it was a calculated attack. The whale, over 60 feet long, charged the vessel with tremendous force, causing significant damage to the hull. As panic swept through the crew, the ship began to sink. The once orderly whaling expedition turned into chaos, with men scrambling to save themselves and their ship. Despite their frantic efforts, the Essex couldn't be saved, and the crew was forced to abandon ship, setting adrift in small whaleboats. This moment marked the beginning of a harrowing fight for survival, a fight that would take them to the limits of human endurance. With the Essex sinking into the Pacific, the crew faced the ultimate test: survival. With minimal supplies, just a few days' worth of water and hardtack, they set their sights on the distant coast of Chile. But the journey was fraught with challenges. The scorching sun by day and freezing cold by night, dehydration, and the constant threat of starvation. As days turned into weeks, the crew's hope began to fade, and the unthinkable decision to resort to cannibalism emerged as a means of survival. This grim choice, driven by desperation, would forever haunt the survivors. The story of the Essex becomes not just one of physical survival, but also a moral quandary. What does it take to survive when faced with absolute despair? As starvation and dehydration set in, the crew faced a terrifying moment of decision. One young sailor, Owen Coffin, Captain Pollard's cousin, became the focal point of a heart-wrenching decision. In an attempt to maintain some sense of fairness, the crew drew lots to decide who would be sacrificed for the other's survival. The drawing of lots was an excruciating moment of moral anguish. When Coffin's name was drawn, the crew was forced to confront the unimaginable reality of sacrificing one of their own to save the others. The psychological toll of this decision was immense, as guilt and grief weighed heavily on the survivors, adding another layer of tragedy to an already harrowing ordeal. On February 18th, 1821, the survivors of the Essex were finally rescued after weeks of desperate struggle. They were found by the whaling ship Dauphin near the Marquesas Islands, barely alive, emaciated, and physically and mentally ravaged by their ordeal. Their bodies bore the marks of their survival decisions, and their haunted expressions reflected the unimaginable toll of what they had endured. For Captain George Pollard Jr. and First Mate Owen Chase, the rescue didn't mark an end to their suffering. The psychological scars of what they had witnessed and the decisions they had made would stay with them for the rest of their lives. The men they had lost, including those who stayed behind on the Essex, were forever in their thoughts as they struggled to come to terms with their survival. The story of the Essex didn't end with the rescue. It became a cultural touchstone, inspiring Herman Melville's Moby Dick, one of the most iconic American novels. The novel's portrayal of Captain Ahab's obsession with the whale mirrors the hubris that led to the Essex's demise. Melville's story encapsulates the same struggle between man and nature, a battle that often seems destined to end in tragedy. The legacy of the Essex continues to captivate audiences today, serving as both a cautionary tale and a testament to human resilience. The moral and ethical dilemmas faced by the crew, along with their sheer determination to survive, have made this tragedy a powerful part of maritime history. The lessons of the Essex about greed, survival, and the unpredictability of nature continue to resonate in our world. The tragedy of the Essex reminds us of the fragility of human life in the face of nature's vastness. It's a tale of ambition, disaster, and survival against all odds. If you found this story as captivating and thought-provoking as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and and share it with those who might appreciate a deep dive into one of the most harrowing chapters of maritime history. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and stay tuned for more powerful stories from the past.